Hello, welcome you here where we analyze issues, current issues, political issues, and other developments that are taking place around our environment, our nation, and beyond. And today, I want to invite you so that we can address a very, very tragic happening that happened a day ago. This is the fire at Utumishi Academy. And we want to start by sending our condolences from here to the affected, the families who lost their young ones, students in this school, the girls, the parents, the relatives, and even members of that community, the school community. Tunasema poleni. We empathize with you. We know it's a difficult and painful moment. And we just feel that it is important that we address this as a matter of urgency because we have had incidents of fire in various schools presently, and we know that the possibility of such a thing happening again is high, and God forbid that it should happen again. And so we want to first of all look at what really happened. The report we have is that a dome was set on fire by some suspects that have not yet been identified. Their names have not been identified. But from the DCI, it's like 8 girls are in custody and they are following up on investigations. These are students in the school. And that 16 girls have lost their lives. That's a huge number. That's a huge number. And this incident has gotten into international media. It's all over the world. Episodes of what has happened are being circulated, aired on BBC, CNN, and everywhere else. Is a tragedy of huge proportions. Because losing a single life is one too much. A single life is one too much. 16 is more than we can fathom, because these are destinies, these are hopes that have been shattered. I can imagine there is a mother somewhere who is still shedding tears for a girl, and you see, not just the dying, most of them were burnt beyond recognition, that they have to do DNA. I mean, there is no worst tragedy we can talk of. It breaks my heart that these young, beautiful girls have lost their lives when they had gone to school to study, to shape their futures, to shape their lives, their parents, and the hope for them. And, as a parent myself, there's a way you look at your son, your daughter, and you see yourself in the future, in them. So these are dreams shattered. These are hopes that have been completely turned upside down. We empathize with you. May God grant you strength wherever you are. We are praying for you, and we pray that God of heaven may give you peace and comfort wherever you are. But beyond that, then we want to ask ourselves, what really happened? What was the cause of this? Could it have been prevented? We want to ask those questions. And we begin by asking, I have heard Okombo Milemba, the nut head, talk, is the Kupet guy, talk about this, and he said that we need to abolish boarding schools because it happened in a boarding school. And I want to ask that, is abolishing boarding schools the solution? We have campuses and other colleges, they have boarding facilities. I mean, should we say that then those facilities are going to be for nothing? We have so many schools in this country, thousands of schools with boarding facilities. Are those investments going to be just left to ruins? Do they mean nothing? Is abolishing boarding schools a real solution, or is it a temporary Panadol painkiller to just address our anguish? I want to ask, if a girl in Wajir has done well and she wants to study, for example, at Alliance Girls or Pangani Girls, because she feels she has more chances to be able to get a pathway to a career, a dream career in that school. Is it wrong for her to come and board at Pangani? I think Okombo Milemba may be killing a fly with a mallet. And I know it is a big problem, but I think the prescription is not correct. It's not correct. We have rules that were developed. I don't know whether it was during Saitoti time, because when the late Professor George Saitoti was the Minister for Education, because I think that is the time we had the Changuli fire tragedy in Machakos, where over 60 boys died, and a commission was formed. And part of the recommendations of that particular commission is that there was to be a set spacing of one bed from another. And so congestion in the dorms was to be addressed through proper spacing of beds. And here, the reason for this particular thing happening was a complaint about congestion in the school. That in this particular school, the girls' beds were congested. Number two, it was recommended that the doors of dormitories be larger and they should open outwards, and they are supposed to be a double door with the two panels that it can open outwards, and that those doors will not be locked from outside or inside at night in a way that someone cannot open. There were to be two doors, one on the exit and one on the other side. I don't know whether those particular prescriptions were followed in this particular case. Also, part of the recommendations was that there should be fire safety equipment in the dorms. Fire safety equipment including fire extinguishers and other measures that can be taken. And as recently as I think 2-3 years ago, there was this recommendation that was circulating around that there should be CCTV cameras in the boarding spaces of where students are boarding, that there should be CCTV cameras coverage so that it is known who went where, who did what for management, because we can use technology innovations for security management. That was a recommendation, and I think we need to know whether this was implemented in this particular case. Now, beyond that, there was to be, training of students who are in boarding schools to know how to respond to situations like that, fire tragedies and so on. And so there will be assembly points, fire assembly points. These are things and learnings that we need to get out of this. I know we are in a mood of pain and mourning, but it is good that we address a bit of this, though with a lot of sensitivity to what has happened. And so I want to ask that what is the real cause of this fire tragedy? This is a girls' school, number one. We don't hear of girls doing this. I know many times we have heard of strikes and those kind of activities, destruction. It happens mainly in boys' boarding schools. Boys' boarding schools. This is a girls' school. Why would a girl or a group of girls decide to set fire in a dorm where they know their colleagues, their schoolmates are sleeping in the dead of the night? In the dead of the night. What is the problem? I'm sure at the back of their minds, if they are the ones who did it, because investigations are going on, then you want to ask, why would a young adolescent girl desire to take another's life? Why? These are difficult questions, but they must be asked. Why? An idea I would want to offer a few ideas. Number one, I want to ask about our parenting. Our parenting. I am a parent myself, but I fear we don't have sufficient time to bring up our sons and daughters, to train them on things that are no-go zone. There are things you can do, there are things you cannot do. To train them the sanctity of life, to train them to love one another, to train them the word of God, to teach them the Bible, to teach them the Bible, to teach them values and morals, to engage them and know what are they thinking, what issues are they raising, what are their concerns, and to address their questions as much as we are able to listen to them express their frustrations even in school or even at home, so that then we have information, and so we can help handle, we can help diffuse some of the pressures that these young children have. And I want to say that besides that, parenting being a very important thing, today we have the problem of failed families, broken families, single parent families, students who have been traumatized because of what has happened between their parents. Some have listened to conversations where fathers or their fathers are threatening their mothers and telling them they will kill them. Probably some have seen their friends killed and murdered. They have also seen what has happened in our, public space, burning of things. Every time we have a little disagreement in this country, we burn the tarmac on our roads. We burn businesses and houses of people. We have seen it. When we have political disagreements, people go burning, destroying things that belong to others. How many times have we seen political opponents stone cars of their opponents, burn their houses, break houses and businesses and steal things? So if that is how we sort our issues, then that is what we are telling our children they should be sorting our issues. How do we sort our issues in the family? Is it through threats, through fights, through conflicts? Do we sit around and converse and discuss and dialogue? Have we given room for mediation when there are issues? Have we taught our children to negotiate their issues in school? Because, for example, if there was a shortage of water or hot water was not available, the solution is not to destroy the tank that provides the water. The solution is to have a negotiation, a conversation around the problem of water. How do we sort our problems? How do we deal with the crisis as a nation, as a family? And I think also, beyond now looking at the issue of parenting, we need to look at some other, emerging issues. For example, we are aware there is a lot of devil worship in schools. Spirituality. I'm a spiritual person. I'm a spiritual leader. And I must say, I have observed many things happening to young people that have a source in the spiritual realms. If someone then is ready, for example, to set a dorm with over 100 and probably 60 girls sleeping at night, it means in their mind they would like to mass murder. So what is the reason? What is the driving force for a young girl to desire to kill others in masses? Is it probably that they have gotten into some kind of occultism? You've heard of Illuminati. You have heard of Freemasonry. You have heard of those sects that devil worship. This is happening in schools. I have personally found cases where young students have been initiated into Illuminati. They sell their souls to the devil. Sometimes they are asked, what do you want? Some of them want to be rich. They want to be rich when they are young. They are told if you do this and this, you'll be rich. So they want to do that and be rich. We have heard of these groupings like the ones that call themselves YOLO. You only live once. And so as long as you get your money, you get your wealth, whether you die at 20 or 10 or 15 or 30, doesn't matter. Enjoy life and then die. We have seen some of those young people have got into those cults. They engage young people. They engage in drug use and abuse. Have we thought about that? Drug use and abuse. Alcoholism. Have we thought about that? What can we get from the administration of the school? We hear that some intelligence and circulated to the school structures that there are girls who are planning to do an evil thing, to ban something in the school. How was that information received and how was it shared? How was it escalated? Was it taken to the head of the school, for example? And if it did the head of the school take any action? Did the board of management get to be aware of this? And if they did they take some action? Probably. Did anybody report to the police that we have a situation here? Did they have specific actionable intelligence? Were further investigations carried out? I think these are the questions that I believe the competent authorities in government will be asking. They will be finding answers to. But for us here, ours is to comment and say that school administrators need to take a step back, have a working system of intelligence gathering, intelligence sharing, and intelligence, actionables from the intelligence. Being able to identify the actionables. What actions should be taken when we know this and this is happening? Do we stop at that? Just having reports in the office? Who needs to be informed? What further actions should we take? That is for the short term. But then for the long term, how are we counseling our young people? Do we have working counseling systems in schools? And as I began with, are our parents doing what parents need to do? Or have we relegated our part as parents to house girls and to teachers and to others, aunts and cousins? What is your role as a parent in the life of your son, your daughter? We are living in interesting times. And mine is to ask and to probably encourage school administrators wherever you are to be proactive, not reactive. I know it's a huge challenge, especially with the increased enrollments that you are experiencing because of the new curriculum that we have. And I know many schools have bigger numbers than they planned for. Are our technocrats at the Ministry of Education working with the school administrators to be able to address some of these issues? We know, for example, some schools and asked for 300 students for grade 10, 11, but they were given probably 500. So how would they manage the extra numbers? Those are the questions. Is the capitation for schools being given and given in time? Because sometimes the students will complain because of meals, because of other things in the school. And probably the head teacher is not to blame. Probably the capitation has not come. So we need a whole, like the whole government approach. We need every hand on the deck. Every hand on the deck. Our spiritual leaders, what is our role? Is it time that we came up with a program to have chaplains in every boarding school, where the students, when they have issues, when they are disturbed, they can always go and confide and find solutions, or be helped to find solutions for their issues? Life is so complex, and sometimes a young person can only carry so much. Sometimes they think the world has come to an end when they have a little problem. But probably when they have a chaplain around who can listen to them, sometimes pray with them and counsel them, a father, mother figure within the school, that thing they thought was so big will finally be a small thing. And so, Kenyans, I want to ask, shall we wait for another tragedy to act? I think that is not wisdom. I suggest we act on this at the earliest, so that we have systems at school, systems from government, systems from home, where home is communicating to school. School is communicating to the parent at home. And the government, because it's the custodians, the government is the custodian of our security, whether in school or outside, should also play its role. And so this is the point, that we can't let this continue to happen. I know the other question is those parents who have lost their daughters, and those others who are injured in their tents, some are still in hospital. There are bills to be paid. There are burials to be done. They have lost heavily. I have had Honorable Sonko. He has offered to assist and support financially for the burials of those who lost their lives. But I'm asking, is government also getting involved, at least to lessen the pain of the parents? What can we do, even as private people, even as investors in this country, leaders? What is it that we can do to lessen the pain of the parents who have lost their loved ones and those who are in hospital? Could the government, for example, start by waiving off all the bills for treatment and even for mortuary and all that for those that lost their lives? I think that can be a starting point. And then number two, what then can we do to kind of have some kind of restitution, so that then there is closure? Have we organized for psychosocial counseling for the parents and relatives of those who have died? Those students who are left in school, I don't know whether they have gone home or they are still there or they are coming. We need an arrangement so that if they are resuming school, then they go through a process of debriefing, a debriefing session, counseling session. These are traumatic experience, and trauma can lead to other mental and psychological disorders. There are those who could be having nightmares. There are those who could be having, certain experiences that are not good for their mental health, emotional health. What structures have been put in place to handle that, even as we deal with the immediate issues of having those who have died be buried and other things done? At the same time, I want to urge all young people, all students in our schools who may view this, that please know that your life is precious, and the life of your friend is equally precious. We cannot reduce the value of life to be so cheap. These are doctors, engineers, probably a governor, probably a pilot who has died at a tender age before they could become who God made them to become. Sometimes we are fond of saying, Mungu alimpenda sana. It is my thinking and feeling, the feeling of my heart, that I don't think God desired that these young angels die. We have a role to play. There are things we can handle ourselves and say, they shouldn't happen again. This is 16 too much. 16 too much. We can't lose lives like that. Where did we take the sanctity of life? The value of life? Human life is not chicken life. Even when we are disgruntled, even when probably the food in the school wasn't good enough, I don't think it is worth losing a single life because of food. We need to ask ourselves those questions. And if you're a young person in school, you feel disturbed, you have probably been ensnared by some of these cultic things, or your parent and your son, your daughter has shown signs of indulging in drugs, alcoholism, or even some of these cultic practices, I think you need to reach out. There are people there. We are here. You can reach me. Plus 254 101 786 242 254 for Kenya code 721 786 242. I am willing to talk with your daughter, your son. We have a conversation together. Even as a parent, we have seen parents who have killed their children or traumatized them in ways that should not happen. You know a child or your daughter, your son has gone through that. That trauma will affect them, and sometimes the actions we see in school is a reflection of trauma from home. Some behaviors we see in school, they are not originating from school. They are originating from home, from broken systems at home. Some parents, we have pampered our children too much that they have no respect for authority. We need to tell our children again that life has rules and authorities must be respected. We cannot have a laissez-faire kind of family upbringing and expect angels out of them. Even at a family level, we must together in consultation with our children set rules, the do's and don'ts, that these are red lines. These we cannot go beyond here. And so, finally, once again, our condolences to the parents, to the relatives, and to the friends of the 16 beautiful angels that we lost at Utumishi Academy early this week, and to the school also, to the students who they were with in that particular school. This is a huge loss, and I know it can be so traumatic, and even accepting it is not easy. I pray that God will help us to accept that it has happened, but then from there, take action to prevent what can be preventable. Thank you so much. Shalom, peace. God bless you. Thank you.